Good morning, everyone. We are now live for our event today. Thank you for joining us for the American Academy of Pediatrics Nevada chapter virtual walk with a doc kids time. I'd like to welcome all of our parents, kids, and fellow practitioners to our July virtual talk. My name is Dr. Lily Hadaji, and I am a pediatrician here in Las Vegas, as well as the Nevada chapter of the AAP Walk with a Doc coordinator. So for almost 6 years now, the Nevada AAP chapter has been meeting every second Sunday of every month. We coordinate kid-friendly talks on a variety of pediatric health topics and then enjoy an outdoor walk together. It's a really great way to get outdoors, learn important information about the health of our kids, and have the opportunity to ask a local pediatrician or pediatric specialist any questions. Our chapter also helps coordinate this event for the Reno community. So we normally join either at Springs Preserve's outdoor venue most of the year, and then during hotter summer months, we gather at the Mount Charleston Visitor Gateway to escape the heat. So since we're keeping our distance to protect ourselves and our community from this pandemic, we're holding a virtual walk with a doc this morning, live streamed online. For our talk today, we are very happy to welcome Dr. Kirandeep Chahil, who will be speaking to us about a pediatrician's training. Dr. Chahil is a recent resident graduate from the UNLV School of Medicine Department of Pediatrics, who will be staying in Las Vegas to practice general pediatrics. As Dr. Chahil starts her talk, I really encourage all of you to use the chat box to talk to each other and also ask any questions that she can answer at the conclusion of her talk. Dr. Chahil, we are ready when you are.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Dr. Hadaji. So today I will be giving a talk on a pediatrician's training. So the first thing to do if you want to decide on a career in medicine, the earlier the better, but that doesn't mean that you can't decide on medicine later in life. I know many people in medical school that were in their 30s or 40s and had done other careers like law school or just anything else. So it doesn't mean that you can't do it later in life, but the earlier that you decide, it is the better. The traditional pathway is typically after high school, you're going to attend college or a community college and then transition to a university route. In college, this is where you are going to do your required pre-medical courses that are necessary before applying to medical school. These normally include your science courses like biology, chemistry, organic chemistry, and physics at the minimum. You're usually going to be taking at least 2 courses in both of those, and then the associated labs as well. There's some other courses recommended depending on where exactly you want to go for medical school. There's usually a list of requirements for the medical school on their website. Their courses can include things like biochemistry, statistics, English, math. It really just depends again on the school. Of note, a lot of people will major in biology and tell you that that is going to be the best thing to major in when you're doing pre-medicine. This isn't a requirement, and I would personally recommend not doing it. In my opinion, I think you should take college as an opportunity to study something that's of another interest to you and explore your other passions as well. For example, I studied psychology as my major and chemistry as my minor. If you do decide to do biology as your major, you can also take other classes as your electives. For instance, I always wish I could go back and take a religions course or something like that. So don't let that deter you from taking other classes. You're also going to have a college advisor to help you in making these decisions and guiding you in picking the best courses for your path. So once you've decided on pursuing a career in medicine, you want to also make sure that you have shadowed a doctor before you commit to this. Many medical schools also want to see and hear that you've had shadowing experience. Because it is a very long career path, it's important that you've given it a lot of thought and research before committing to it. So shadowing is one of the best ways to get that experience. And if you don't know of any physicians, your pediatrician is always a great person to ask. That was a person that I had shadowed in the beginning of my career as well. So in medicals, or once you're in college, one of the dreaded things that everyone talks about is the medical college admission test. This is also known as the MCAT. This is a standardized multiple choice exam that's required by all US and Canadian medical schools. It has changed after 2015, and so that was before or after I took it. There's now 4 sections and 4 scores. So it's based on the sciences like biology, chemistry, physical sciences, and then they included another section to include psychological, social, critical analysis, and reasoning skills as well. So this is one of the hurdles that you do have to get over, probably one of the harder parts. You're usually going to take this after you've taken your prerequisite courses after your second or third year of college. So the next step is going to be applying to medical school. So this is typically after your third year of college, once you've completed all of the courses that are necessary and taken your MCAT. You're going to submit a packet, including your transcript, that's all of your grades that you've had in college, your MCAT scores, a personal statement, and a resume of all your other extracurricular activities. Your personal statement, this is something you want to start early on. It takes a lot of time and a couple of different drafts. You want to be sure to have it looked over by a couple of other people and be sure to edit it and have some revisions. This is going to be your time to tell medical schools why you want to go into medical school and pursue a career in medicine. And then your extracurriculars, these are going to include things like your shadowing experience, any research that you've done, any presentations that you've given, any mission trips, and then of course your hobbies and interests. This is especially important. You don't want to get dragged down in school just by all of your courses. You want to make sure that you also keep your hobbies and your interests. You still continue to participate in those. This is especially important because it's going to be what sets you apart from other applicants. So when you're applying to medical school, you're going to submit that big application, and then oftentimes many medical schools are going to send you a secondary application specific to their medical school, asking why you want to go there. So for that reason, it's best to apply to areas where your family lives, or you have family living, or have a tie to that area. This is also important for when you're in medical school. You want to have a support group like your family to support you during medical school. And then once you submit your application, medical schools will offer you an interview, and that's a chance for you to sell yourself and shine, and also an opportunity for you to decide if you can see yourself spending the next 4 years studying at that school or in that location in a different city if it's away from your home. The next step is going to be one of the hardest in the process. It's getting accepted to medical school. It can be a long and tough waiting game. Don't let a rejection or multiple rejections discourage you. For me, I applied 2 times because I didn't get in my first cycle. I know lots of people who applied 3 to 4 times before they end up getting accepted. Unfortunately, there's just lots of people who are interested in medical school, so lots of applications, but there's not enough medical schools or spots available right now. But there is a big need for more physicians, more pediatricians, so don't let this deter you, okay? So once you get to medical school, it's going to be 4 very long years. It differs based on the type of school that you're going to attend. I attended an osteopathic medical school and earned a DO degree, which is different from allopathic medical schools where you'll earn a MD degree. The training for the most part is all identical, except DOs are going to take an extra hands-on course and are taught a more holistic approach. For the most part, most medical schools, the first 2 years are going to be a lecture format with frequent exams. So you're going to be going to lectures and then studying for the most part for about 8 hours a day after that. The last 2 years are the more fun part, where you get to spend time rotating in clinicals, and you get to decide what field you want to go into. So during the 3rd year of your medical school, you've gotten to rotate in a couple of different specialties like pediatrics, family medicine, surgery, gynecology, where they deliver babies, and you'll get to pick which one that you enjoy the most. So I chose pediatrics based on my love for children. And then your length of training is going to differ based on what field you decide to go into. For me, I chose pediatrics, and it was 3 years. So I spent the last 3 years learning all about kids from when they're first born to when they turn 18 to 21 years old. I got to see very sick babies and lots of sick kids, and then also saw very healthy babies and made sure that they continued to stay healthy by giving them their shots that they needed. So for me, my training has come to an end after the last couple of weeks. And I decided to do general pediatrics. So I'm the type of doctor you'll usually come into the office to see, where you come in if you're having a runny nose, you have a sore throat, or also just for every year you come in to get your general well checkup. Many of my colleagues, however, they decided to further their training and become experts in pediatric fields that focus on things like the lungs, the heart, the stomach, or premature babies. This is going to be an extra 3 years of training for them. And I forgot to mention, so during your training, you're going to be taking lots of board exams. So in medical school, after the first 2 years, you'll be taking the board exam. After the 3rd year, you'll be taking the board exam. And then I'll be taking my board exam in the next couple of months. So it's a very long process where you're going to be doing lots of studying. Everyone always says it's a lifelong process of learning. So you always want to make sure that you enjoy studying. That's a big part of this process. I know it sounds very, very long and lengthy, and it definitely is, but the best thing to do is just focus on each step one at a time and enjoy the journey. When I look back and reflect, I can't imagine myself doing anything else. Dr. Hidaji, are there any questions for me?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Chahil, for that awesome talk. I do have a question for you from the audience. So what made you decide to become a pediatrician?
So like I mentioned earlier, I loved working with kids. In college or in high school, I always found opportunities to work after school, working with kids, reading to them or whatever it was. So for me, it was an easy decision. I wanted to work with kids. I think kids are just very resilient, and I love watching them grow from when they're a baby to when they're 2 years old to when they're like 5 years old to when they're 18. I just love watching that process of them transition to an adult. I think it's very cool to see.
Okay, great. Our second question is, so what do you think a high schooler should focus on if they would like to become a pediatrician?
So in high school, the things that you can focus on are taking science courses. Like I mentioned, you're going to need to take chemistry and physics, biology, all of those courses in college. So taking them in high school is going to give you a head start, and just paying attention in those courses. Sometimes, in high school, you just take them and learn the material and forget it, but making sure you really understand those courses, because you're going to be retaking them again, and it's going to get harder and it's going to build upon that. Another thing you can do is shadow. You have a little bit more time in high school, so finding your local pediatrician or local doctors, maybe your parents' doctors, and asking if you can come in for a couple of hours and just see patients with them. I think most doctors are always willing to allow it that. So.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Chahil, for your very informative talk on a pediatrician's training. And thank you to everyone who joined us today. So it's time for us all to go outside for our outdoor walk. As we stop the live feed, I really encourage everyone to take the time to enjoy some physical activity outside. It'd be great to see any photos of yourselves walking together that can be posted on the Nevada AAP Twitter feed at AAP Nevada. Make sure to walk for at least 20 minutes, bring some water and sunscreen, maintain your social distancing if needed, and wear a mask. Please remember that it is very important to stay up to date with your child's regular wellness checks and vaccinations. Make sure to take your kids 6 months and older now for their COVID-19 vaccinations. And remember, this vaccination can be co-administered or given at the same time as any other recommended childhood vaccine. Our next walk with a dog will be held August 14th at 10 a.m. and we will be in person at the Mount Charleston Visitors Gateway. So stay tuned for an upcoming email regarding further information. We hope to see you again next time. Stay safe and healthy and have a great walk. Thank you, everyone.